So sorry for the delay. Hope y'all are still interested because I'm back with another deep dive. And don't hate me, but this will have to be a part 1, part 2. Today we're talking about one of the strangest skills in cheerleading, and probably the skill that's testing my explanation abilities the most. Let's talk Diamidovs. Now, as a former gymnast, I was immediately drawn to this skill. With all the bars training, I thought it would make perfect sense. Spoiler alert, it did not. This skill took me years of reps before I was able to even conceptualize what I was actually doing. But as always, the work was worth it, and the reps gave me a pretty good understanding of how this skill works. So let's get into it. Our first checkpoint is in our set. We want to make sure that all of our weight is pushing in our arms before we've even started this skill. If you're starting this skill and your shoulders are not activated and intentionally pushing down on him, the skill has no chance of working. Keeping that in mind, our next checkpoint is our jump. Now, if you've done a regular Purdue up hand in hand, it's important to note that the angle of this jump is very different from that one. Once my feet leave the ground, I'm pushing back at this 45-degree angle with all of my weight still intentionally pushing through my arms. I'm letting my chest lean back into that angle, but I'm rolling my shoulders forward. That'll keep our pressure. While I'm doing that, I'm gonna start to hinge at the hips. I'm being intentional about directing my weight to sit over the right side of my body, through my right shoulder and my right hip. At this point in the skill, I'll often see girls with their weight centered equally across both hips. And as we can see, that usually makes this skill much harder than it needs to be. Okay, so once we've hit this checkpoint, making sure our chest is back, shoulders forward, and we're hinging at the hips, we're about ready to do the second half of this skill. Now, this is where the weight sitting on the right side of our body becomes really important. During this portion, our right hand is our only post keeping us connected to our base. So if we aren't centering our weight over that right arm, or we're not keeping it strong, it's not gonna work. The second thing we're emphasizing here is our toes. We're continuing the momentum of that hinge by aggressively shooting our toes to the ceiling. As we release our left hand, we're driving down aggressive with the right. Now here's the kicker. Getting our left hand back to our base is the least of our worries. Well, not the least, but it is the very last step on our checklist. Before that can happen, we've got to get out of our hinge and back into that straight line. I like to think of this motion as a corkscrew. As my toes drive up, I continue that momentum by shooting my hips back out into that straight line and continuing the spin. This part's tricky, as it is really hard to teach your brain not to put your hand down when you're upside down. But if we can make ourselves prioritize getting into that handstand body line rather than pulling our hand back down, that'll give us what we're looking for. Notice that once you've gotten into that straight body line, you won't yet be facing the front. That's exactly what we want. And our cue to finally bring that left hand down. Now at this point in the skill, the amount of spin that you still have left to complete will differ from rep to rep. Either are fine as long as you make sure to keep your hand in line with your hips and don't try to rush to get to the front. And that's a wrap on our Diamidov deep dive. I must say this was probably the most challenging skill for me to explain, but hopefully I did it well enough that somebody out there got something good out of it. And as always, thanks for listening, and drop a comment below and let me know what skill you want me to cover next.